Welcome to another video from Kaupr. You're now watching a recorded session from State of Bitcoin in the Nordics live event, held on June 4th, 2025. In this session, Bitcoin on the balance, you'll hear insights from Christoffer the Geer of Bitcoin Treasury Capital, Alexander Hagen from Ace Digital, Sander Andersen of Finpeers and H100, and Stig Alexander Kjos-Mathisen from NBX. Enjoy the discussion. State of Bitcoin in the Nordics was a landmark event organized by Kaupr with strong support from the Nordic community and leading partners. More than 1,000 people joined us live as 18 business and thought leaders explored the future of finance and Bitcoin across the region. We are truly grateful to all the speakers and to the community for your support. We also want to give a special thanks to our official partners, Ace Digital, Firi, K33, and Aurora and Klein Group. Their commitment made this event possible, and they continue to drive innovation and adoption across the Nordic blockchain, Web3, and Bitcoin ecosystems. We will then welcome a panel for a discussion. And the topic of the day is not only the day, but for the last weeks and the last months is Bitcoin Treasury companies. And we will then welcome four guests into the panel. So we will welcome Sander, we will welcome Christoffer, we will welcome Alexander, and also Stig Alexander. So here you are, guys. Now we have room for all five. And for 2 months ago, I don't know, nobody was talking about Bitcoin Treasury in the Nordic frame, at least in the public space. And we have been following you guys along. And we started with you, Christoffer, a couple of months ago. And you said that you wanted to create a pure Bitcoin play company and then go to the Swedish Stock Exchange after some time. What inspired you to define this as an opportunity?
Primarily, I think it's needed. Europe doesn't have a good pure play, a good Bitcoin pure play. So we decided to create that. And I think there's no one in Sweden, at least, that's better suited to do that than I am, because I've been part of the Bitcoin community for a very long time, and I'm a very religious Bitcoiner. So it feels very natural to just take that to the next step and to make something where you can have your Bitcoins still in cold storage, but you can generate yield on it, which is the edge case and the utility here of these type of companies. So therefore, we decided to set that in motion immediately, and we're listing. The goal is to list now in June and to raise funds publicly ASAP.
Are you on track on that?
Yeah, it looks like it. So I think if we manage, we will have created. It must be the fastest stock listing ever. Don't quote me on that, but it went really, really fast. And if we can, then the trading commences in June. And we hope to raise funds before that now and get a lot of interest when the share is live. And we also, if we can, we're going to try to get the ticker BTC and the domain btc.se, this type of thing. It was very Bitcoin focused.
If I remember, then your play was that you want to create more Bitcoin per share during your way of doing it, and how can you do that?
Yeah, exactly. And there's two things here. First of all, we're, I think, the first Bitcoin pure play. So we don't have an actual separate operating business, which makes it easier to focus on this. The investor doesn't have to evaluate, for example, with Metaplanet, you can have to evaluate their Bitcoin acquisition strategy and if you like hotels in Tokyo. That's a bit strange to have to do that calculation as an investor. And we found that a lot of people want to get exposure to this type of company, but they want that only. And then they can take a decision on investing in a hotel in Japan separately if they would like that. So in our case, we set this up as a pure play. And what we do is that when the share price is above the net asset value, we issue new shares, or you can have some type of lending or similar, just to generate more volatility into the stock. And then when there is a difference between the share price and the actual Bitcoins that we hold, we have an opportunity to generate more Bitcoins per share for our current shareholders. And that's what's attractive, and why we've seen such incredible interest here in Sweden and abroad as well for this type of company.
We will include all you guys in this conversation, and we will continue with Alexander Hagen from Ace Digital, because you were the first Norwegian company that launched this kind of strategy, and you had the common situation as Christoffer, that you're not listed on the stock exchange yet, but you have planned. And you have also picked up about 50 million kroner in the private placement, but you have a classical background, more you could say, but also traded Bitcoin for many years. So why do you think that your way of your outreach to this investor company has gained so good traction on your company?
Hi, Morten. Thank you for having me. I think traditional investors not sure about what they're going to do about Bitcoin. So we have lots of subscriptions from investors that just want to tap into the market, kind of try to learn about Bitcoin by putting some skin in the game. And that's probably going to grow a little bit. Ourselves, we are a bunch of guys from traditional finance tapping into the market, starting 4 or 5 years ago with a hedge fund, Cayman funds, with different trading strategies around Bitcoin and Ether. With time, I think it's time that makes it. The more time you spend in Bitcoin, you start to get more bullish. So that's what happened to me probably 1 year ago with the president election and BlackRock. So I think that's spreading as well. We were more actually into trading the volatility, but now we start to get more like Bitcoin maxis, and it's fun, and I think it's going to spread more. So now we wanted to start this operational company with Bitcoin as a part of our balance sheet, and we will develop all the products and services around the Bitcoin whole ecosystem. So that differs a little bit from Christoffer, and also from Sandra and Stig, that has operational that differs from Bitcoin by health and by being a stock exchange or a crypto exchange. Yeah.
But you will then develop financial products around Bitcoin. It won't be a hotel that you are planning.
No hotel, but maybe payment solutions, and of course be in the space and collaborate with all others. We all know each other in the Scandi area, and we talk to each other, and I think maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see some action around that.
Okay, some type of cooperation or collaboration.
Yeah, that's already in place, but maybe tighter than that. Yeah.
Okay. Then we can also welcome you, Sander, from Switzerland, but you're a Norwegian, and welcome, Sander.
Thank you, Morten.
And we are sort of having two agendas with you now, because you are the CEO of Finpeers, and you are also the CEO of H100, which is a company noted in Sweden. But if we start with Finpeers, you started out with private equity for 2 or 3 years ago, and you wanted to democratize it, and so you also started to search and build connection with, for instance, family offices. So, but when did this Bitcoin thing come into this equation, and how do you think of these two topics together, private equity and Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think working with family offices made us realize that it's very, very hard to beat the performance of Bitcoin in general. So you should play along with Bitcoin. And therefore, we've started to look into how you can create more financial products where you combine Bitcoin with the real economy. And that was, of course, accelerated by the investment from Fulgur Ventures that helped us coming very close to the global Bitcoin community, and we saw the opportunity to combine what we have learned from private equity with Bitcoin, and that's where Bitcoin equity came up, where we combined a strong Bitcoin balance sheet to use on top of cash flow generating equity.
And related to Finpeers, your plan is not to go on stock exchanges, neither yourself nor the companies that you are working together with. You are then talking about utilizing the tokenization legal structure that are in Switzerland, that are ahead of most other countries. And what kind of investment opportunities can that give to investors then?
No, so we look at multiple different ways here. We see, first of all, now the Bitcoin Treasury strategies. We see more and more Bitcoin equity strategies where you combine Bitcoin with the real world assets, like real estate. I'm quite a fan of doing and seeing more of that, because you can ride the wave of Bitcoin. And it's also, as Torbjörn mentioned earlier, this is a fantastic collateral. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see more private credit structures around Bitcoin, where you can actually have a longer duration on the loan to actually not having the risk of liquidation, short-term liquidation. But if you package Bitcoin combined with another asset, I'm very confident that more and more lenders will go into that space and give you more predictable capital over time to actually acquire more of the real world and beat the performance of private equity has done historically.
And then we also have to hear some words from you also about H100. What kind of company is that? Because that's not an investment company in itself. It's an operational health tech company, as I understand. But please give me your words on it.
I think that the last halving in Bitcoin is 2140. And I think most Bitcoiner wants to be alive to see that halving. And so that's why we combined Longevity, which is basically a preventive health technology company, with a strong Bitcoin balance sheet. And we see a lot of similarities with those that are identify themselves as self-reliant, self-custodian. They want to take care of their health as well. So the overlap between the Bitcoiners and those that want to take care of their health, we can actually use the marketing from the Bitcoin to target our audiences, where we build a parallel health system. And since it's technology and with AI, it's cheaper to build now than just a couple of years ago, and the margins are quite attractive, we believe over time that we can increase Bitcoin per share, not only by raising capital at the premium, but also cash flow going forward. But for us, this is a long-term play. I started H100 because I saw very few examples of strategy and MetaPlanet in Europe. But now we have the blockchain group, raised over 1,000 Bitcoin. And we are super happy to be advised by Adam Back, which has supported us in all our rounds. And today we also announced another tranche system where we can raise up to 277 million Swedish krona, where Adam guaranteed the first round, first tranche. So yeah, that's what we do in H100. I think we're all here to see the last halving in 2140, and that's what we built for.
And then we will also talk to you, Stig, the CEO of NBX, and it was just the other day that you launched your Bitcoin Treasury strategy. And What is that in your opinion?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So first of all, I think like us launching this or going public with us having kind of a Bitcoin treasury strategies is first of all, it's a kind of confirmation on the belief of the industry that we have been part of for a long time, and also that obviously we believe that Bitcoin is definitely going to be around for the next 100 years. But well, I would say MBX has a more active Bitcoin treasury strategy than other companies, or you can basically you can define kind of Bitcoin treasury strategy as kind of active, where you focus on optimizing using the treasury to to monetize or make more profits on it, or you can be more of a passive, where you have a strategy of just kind of acquiring Bitcoin. The reason why we did it now was it was more of it was a good timing to do it actually for where MX are today. So we have, and that is basically because now we can monetize on it more than just sitting back and watching the balance sheet grow as Bitcoin appreciates it. So how we're utilizing our Bitcoin treasury is that we will use it to collateral and then lend US dollars. And the reason why we want to use Bitcoin is because that first of all, it will, and we all expect it to be to increase in value over time, meaning that we can use it as collateral to lend dollars. And the dollars that we will lend, we will actually put into work in our own ecosystem, where we are a stablecoin issuer of USDM, meaning that we can actually utilize both sides. We can get yield on the kind of blockchain activities, while we also get yield from the financial institutions where we hold the dollars. And as we expect Bitcoin to increase in value, we will be able to loan more and put more working capital into the ecosystem without necessarily taking more risk. And of course, we can adjust it down when Bitcoin goes down. So we can actually do this quite safe and without having, for instance, exposure to Norwegian kroners against dollars, which we could have been if we were, for instance, loaning in Norwegian kroners. So that's kind of right now, that was the lowest hanging fruit for us. And we will use the yield, of course, to also acquire more Bitcoin and then have the treasury also grow, which means then again that we can put more into place and we can expand our ecosystem or we can expand the working capital into other ecosystems as well.
You guys also have an exclusive agreement supporting stablecoins on Cardano in Europe. And
yep.
How do you view the connection between Bitcoin and Cardano? Are you running both shows, or how does this work?
Well, so even though we're kind of having a Bitcoin treasury now, doesn't mean that we are kind of dropping or disregarding all kind of other crypto ecosystems. I think stablecoins will definitely be an extremely important part of kind of blockchain technology going forward. What we see is that the similarities between Cardano and Bitcoin, with being actually built on the same kind of UXO the technology, means that it's actually shorter to kind of have the technologies working together. It is project on Cardano working on, for instance, bridging the stable coins over to the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's definitely, I think you'll see kind of more ecosystems kind of growing into each other. But Bitcoin will definitely be there and will be will have a very significant role as a treasury, as a store of value and also a way to move funds fast.
Okay, so you guys, you have sort of different concepts going into this strategy, but do you see yourself as competitors or do you see yourself as friends? What about you, Alexander? You talked about the collaboration and cooperation, so you maybe already have some thoughts about that.
No, I don't see us as competitors because basically Bitcoin is for everyone. Everyone, it's like if you're doing dollar, everyone doing dollar is a competitor. I don't see it like that. So, for instance, Stig and I, we have done business together for 3-4 years. Same with Torbjörn in K33. He's actually in our advisory board. I'm in the advisory board with Arvid in Greenmark. So big happy family so far.
How do you think about this, Christoffer?
I think that's true. I mean, it's a bit like you can divide Bitcoin into an infinite in the currently 100 million, and then you can expand that. So Bitcoin can just grow infinitely, and the more the merrier. Just everybody will become. It's the only natural financial system that we have that everybody can use, and that will lead to that everybody will use it. And you don't call a company that has dollars on the balance sheet a dollar company. That's not what it's doing. It's just a company and it has dollars, and this is a bit the same. I think Bitcoin will be the baseline for all companies, all countries, and all people over time, because it's just a much more robust and good financial system, and therefore there's no, as Alexander said, it's very strange to compete over dollars. We're not doing that. The more the merrier. Everybody should just buy Bitcoin. That's the end goal, I think.
But still, maybe you will be sort of a competitor in the stock market. At least you are going to the stock market to try to allocate capital, and then you have to have a story. And what is unique then with your company, Christoffer? What is your way of creating value in this market?
One funny note about the competitor thing, like investors, I've talked to a lot of investors today because we've had a huge interest in this type of venture, and some people are saying like, okay, when are you listing? Because I know another company that's listing a bit later, so then I can jump on this, and then the premium, then I'm gonna premium jump. So there's a new type of trader now that's a premium jumper. So that's gonna come as well. So I guess in a sense we're competing for the premium jumpers, but I don't think that's of interest. What I think we will do, and what I think is important, is just, in my case, I want to build an absurdly robust Bitcoin treasury company that doesn't have to trust. There's no trust in it. There's just verification and correct processes. And what we're doing that's important is how we get from Swedish krona to Bitcoin, or euro to Bitcoin, and how the Bitcoin are stored. I mean, I have no access to bank accounts. I'm the CEO, so of course I don't have access to the Bitcoins. That's what you're building, and what's setting us apart, I think, is the extreme paranoia and careful consideration when it comes to Bitcoin, because I'm very, like, personally, I've never, your options as a private individual is to keep your Bitcoins in cold storage or lend them out to FTX, get 4% and get hacked. That's the only two options you have. And I don't like that. Like, I want Bitcoin should be in cold storage, and that's what you're supposed to do with it. You shouldn't do anything else. And then finally we have an alternative where you can generate yield because what's traded is the share and the spread between the share and the Bitcoins. You don't trade the Bitcoins. It's too valuable. It's too important. You can't just send that around. That I think is what's setting us apart, that we're not going to be the most risk-taking, for sure. I'm a very careful individual when it comes to Bitcoin, and just it's since it's almost like it is my religion. It's too important. You can't. That's what you're supposed to do with it. So I think that's what's setting us apart. It's very much pure Bitcoin.
We are soon wrapping up this panel discussion, but I would like to have one question for you guys. And Michael Saylor, he says that he will think that in not that long far ahead, there will be 700 or 800 Bitcoin treasury companies on a global basis. And what do you think are the future on a Nordic basis then? Start with you, Sander. What do you think? Where are we in 2026?
We are all happy shareholder of Bitcoin Corporation. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. You own Bitcoin, and the more people that buy Bitcoin, it benefits everyone. That's what's fantastic with Bitcoin in general. It's no printer that benefits those that are closest to the printer. So for me, I'm super happy to build for the Bitcoiners. I want to see more applications for Bitcoiners. And therefore, I also think that Bitcoin treasury companies in the Nordics should aim to raise as much Bitcoin as we can, because when you park Bitcoin in a publicly traded company, it's actually stabilized the whole chain. It's just good that we see more and more companies that allocate part or their whole balance sheet into Bitcoin. So we have a very important role in the Nordics now to stay relevant. We know what Michael Saylor is doing. We know what the blockchain group is doing. So for us, it's just go out there and raise as much capital as possible and ensure that we use the printing fiat to buy the fixed cap Bitcoin.
What about you, Stig? I heard that you also have been contacted by investors from all over the world after you went out with your launch. Is Nordic ahead in Europe?
I don't know if we are ahead, but what I see is that just the interest that our little announcement made, and the how viral that news article have gone kind of around the globe, and how many gigantic institutions that has contacted us the last 36 hours. Obviously, it's like there's so much money out there waiting to just be put into these into companies that have Bitcoin treasury. That 700-800, if that's what Michael said, you can add a zero on that. That's so, yeah.
Okay, I will just finish, but one last question for you, Alexander. Are you on track regarding your plans to go on Oslo Stock Exchange?
Listing in August. Best
In August.
estimate. Yeah.
Okay. And BTC in June, as I heard. And Sander, you already have a listed company in Sweden, and you do that in Norway, Stig.